And welcome back, Shovick's Sports Shit. Big episode tonight. A lot of stuff happening, obviously, within the last couple of hours. So, what was going to be on the Shovick Sports Hits is now actually going to be something we talk about. So, obviously, it was going to be Belichick going to UNC. So, we'll talk about that here in a second. Let's get into the second one that we were going to talk about, Juan Soto. We won't spend too much time on that. Just know that he makes a lot of money now. 15 for 765 or something like that. Either way, it's 51 million a year. Give us your initial reactions outside of that's just stupid money.
I think we should have played baseball outside as kids a little bit more.
True that.
Not a bad gig. I don't know. It's hard to. I mean, he's a good player. It's a lot of money. Does he really make them 51 mil a year? I don't know. Good dude. Happy for him. Fuck us though, right? Like,
yeah, we definitely didn't take it as serious because obviously here we are and there he is. So, yeah, I mean, good for him. Good for everybody involved, I guess. Just another Mets overspend, kind of what they do. Always try to get the top-notch guy. They couldn't get Ohtani last year, so they felt like they needed to get Soto this year. So, I mean, I still don't think.
do think.
Go for it.
No, I think one of my favorite takes I saw on it was just to kind of spin it back to closer to home on some topics we talk about. But they were talking to Matt Quatrera, the Royals manager, about how great the timing was that the Royals locked up Bobby, because they said that Bobby's the best all-around player in baseball, and he could have easily gone for over this. Like, if he was another player that was going to be a free agent in a year or even this market, said that he could have easily gotten the same, if not more. So for the Royals, kind of the timing on it, I thought that was a pretty interesting take that it was the national media who said that Bobby was the best all-around player, and the Royals kind of had good timing on locking a dude up before the numbers could get bloated. So I thought that was a pretty cool take, and just to hear the national media say that Bobby was the best all-around player in baseball really has nothing to do with Soto or his contract. I really just wanted to get that out there in the world a little bit more. But that was my favorite take on it, was just Royals finally did something right with good timing and don't look stupid for it.
Yeah, I'm just checking something real quick. Yeah, so I do agree with that as far as, we had talked last offseason about the Royals and what, if you're going to do it sooner rather than later and or move them, just because that's the Royals franchise. We don't get to keep good things.
Yeah, and we even joked about, before he made the major leagues, how we kind of wish the Royals would give him like that Luis Robert contract, like the 8 for like 110 or whatever, just so we could hope we could keep him. Because let's be honest, in our lifetime, the Royals have never done what they did with Bobby. So even before this, we were like, get him for that like Luis Robert, type deal where you pay him before he's up type of. Who was the other one? I think there was one for the Braves. They did that.
Well, yeah, Harris. They did for Harris, and then even there were a handful of other ones, small deals, friendly, franchise friendly, obviously. So that's kind of when we started thinking, hey, now's the time. But now I think that kind of shifts to, hey, Vinny, maybe you do one of those 8 for 90, 8 for 100. I don't. Vinny's smarter than that. He probably wouldn't, but you never know until you try. So again, winter meetings off and rolling. Obviously, the big news was Juan Soto signing, and ever since he's signed, now you're starting to see more moves. You're starting to see teams trade at a more of a pace than what we've seen previously. I mean, there's always trades, but some of these trades have been kind of big. So let's go into the number one, and that is not a good week for KU basketball again. Dropped 2 straight. We talked last week around this time, actually, getting ready to take that, loss to Creighton. and we'd said multiple times, hey, if you're going to lose a game, lose it.
We called that one. Yeah, we called that one.
Yeah, lose to Creighton. Lose to Creighton, don't lose Sunday. So, like, okay, we're going to go ahead and lose. We're going to lose Creighton, and then we're going to not listen to you guys, and we're going to actually lose Sunday as well. One of the games that we actually turned off, I couldn't do it anymore. I think there was 5 or 6 straight possessions of a turnover, and they weren't even good turnovers. Like, it wasn't anything Missouri was doing. It was literally just laziness, pure laziness, not trying to pass the ball, get into your spots. Atrocious. Honestly, it's just purely atrocious. So, yeah, I know we're not going to spend too much time on what KU did and didn't do. What are your thoughts as we get, they have a week off they play Saturday now. NC State at home. Keep playing the way you've been playing, and NC State will beat you.
Yeah, and I feel weird when I want to name drop people because any name I drop, they're significantly better at whatever sport that we're talking about than me. But at the same time, like, yeah, we could have shot better, could have done anything better, but the catalyst to any KU and Bill Self team is whoever your best big is. Hunter Dickinson just isn't it right now. I was 50-50 on when we knew we were getting him back. I thought he seemed, is he going to put the chip on his shoulder and come new and improved better than he was last year? Because you can say what you want with the stats, like 20 points, whatever rebounds, but that doesn't go as far when you're giving up the equal amount of stats on the defensive end. Like, yeah, it's cool you're getting it, but you're also giving it up. So you're really kind of just breaking even. He seems worse right now. I don't know if he's battling an injury. I don't know if it's just this is the true Hunter Dickinson of somebody who just doesn't care. But that's what it seems like with watching him. We don't have insider information, but from watching the games, the dude just doesn't seem like he wants to be. He probably came back for his NIL deal. Let's be honest. He wanted that money knowing he wouldn't get it at the next level. Still a lot of season left. He could be battling some sort of an injury. He could be going through something. We don't know any of that. But right now, if he doesn't figure it out, it's going to be a long year. Even when we didn't have a true big, Bill made KJ play big and go through him. Like, Bill Self runs through bigs. You can say what you want with our guards and everything, but it still starts in the paint. And if we're not going to be able to get anything from Hunter offensively, we know we're not getting shit from him defensively. We could be in for the long haul. So, yeah, I don't know what to expect. Hunter Dickinson has a good track record of at least being productive. So I don't want to just write him off. But this last week, he definitely didn't seem like he wanted to be anywhere near a basketball court. So I hope there's enough leaders in the locker room between Juan, between KJ, Bill Self, the coaching staff, to kind of wake him up. But yeah, we're at the point of the schedule now. No more fucking around. Like, this could really spiral into conference play, and that's not. This is when we should start seeing our best basketball heading right into conference play, and it's been reversed. So I don't know. It's KU basketball. I'm never going to consider them out, but I do think there's a level of concern to be had, and I think being back home will help. A couple true road games, still embarrassing. Being back at home, that might help the energy and effort a little bit. I don't know, but it was still embarrassing either way.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say this is last year's team all over again. Not yet. I want to see conference play. We'll find out in a few weeks. West Virginia starts conference play, so I'm not panicking yet. Let me see how this goes. I still think the athletes are there. I still think the team's better than last year's team. So I'm not quite ready to go there yet. Don't lose Saturday. Not in front of the home crowd. That place has been, popping. We've already had big wins at home this year already. Do it again, and then get ready to play, I think, one more game before conference play, and then, take care of business. So that'll wrap up the hits. Again, like I said, and we're going to spend a good chunk right here talking college football real quick, as far as like college football playoff, Heisman, and then Belichick. But I want to start with the Heisman. 4 of them: Gentey, Hunter, Cam Ward, Dylan Gabriel. Personally, obviously, I think we both kind of understand how this is going to go. I think Gentey, obviously, and I get everyone's kind of already handing it to Travis Hunter, but I'm not so sure. I've actually been a Travis Hunter fan this year. You've kind of been like, who cares? But what Gentey was,
like he's
but what Gentey was able to do at Boise State, I mean, that can't go overlooked either.
Yeah, I think this is the first time you don't truly 100% know who the Heisman's going to. I mean, every other year it's like, who's the best quarterback? Him. And hell, who knows? Dylan Gabriel still might get it. Undefeated in Oregon. Like, that's, again, he's a quarterback, so you can't count him out. But I think it's narrowed to a 2-man race. Yeah, what Ashton Gentey's doing at Boise State, I know it's unheard of, and I know what Travis Hunter's doing is unheard of. I mean, I don't know if we've ever seen this level of play from a two-way football player before. It's not that Travis Hunter isn't deserving of it. Let's be honest. I think he's a great receiver and a good corner. It's just hard for me to think of a running back who has like 2,600 total yards and like 30 touchdowns, not getting the Heisman. I've seen the list recently where it's like Kevin Smith and Melvin Gordon and other people had rushed for like 2,500 yards and didn't win the Heisman. So I guess it's not that unheard of for a running back to go off and not do it. But you have the best player on probably the most surprising team. I mean, we're talking about a first-round bye for Boise. Okay? And it's strictly because of him. No other reason. Their one loss went down to the wire with Oregon, where he also ran all over them. So it's not like, and I get yet a little less competition, but let's be honest. Big 12's not much better competition.
Nope.
We really going to sit here and say Travis Hunter's competition was that much tougher than Boise State's? We watched the Big 12. Like, yeah, they're probably a little better, but not that much. It was kind of an embarrassing conference this year to where your last place pick won the conference. Kudos to them. I'm not talking shit, but you can't sit back and say we're this juggernaut conference. So, I don't know. Basically since like week 5, I've been Ashton Gentey for the Heisman. I've always been a running back kind of guy anyway. You've always been kind of the superstar athlete kind of person. So like this is lining up for like how we usually are. Either way, I hope it's not a quarterback. I think that would be awesome. I know we've had receivers and stuff win it recently with like Devontae Smith and whatnot, but it would be a real bummer to have a Dylan Gabriel snipe this from everyone. So I do think Gentey and Hunter are both deserving. What they are doing is special. I think that Ohtani effect is kind of going into Travis Hunter as well, where just a player who's doing two-way, non-sexually is like kind of just the thing right now. It's out of the norm, and when someone excels at it, we kind of overhype it a little bit. So I do think it's anyone's race. I do think Ashton Gentey, what he's able to do against the playoff competition, I think that's going to weigh a little bit too. So, I don't know. It's a fun race. Who thought it would come down to a Colorado and Boise State guy, though? Nobody had that on their bingo card before the year. Let's be real. So, good for college football that it's not Georgia, Bama, Ohio State up for the Heisman. I'm not a big Colorado fan, but prefer them to get some love and spotlight over the usuals. So, I'd be curious. I don't know how it's going to go. Do you think how Gentey does in the playoff is really going to move the meter much, or do you think it's already kind of decided?
I think it's kind of already decided, and it's kind of not fair to think it's already decided. It's just kind of how history does. Like, think about all the ones who, back in the day before the BCS game, obviously they announced the Heisman winner before. So you have December 14th. So he's not even going to get to play before they announce the Heisman.
No.
So December 14th is when they announce it. That's actually this week. That's this Saturday. So yeah,
No
yeah.
shit. Quick.
So no, I don't think it's going to have any bearing. Because I was thinking in my head, I was like, well, I don't think he would be able to get anything before then, because I think it's coming up soon, and I know they have the bye, which means I think it would have been a little too late. But yeah, and I think you're right with the Ohtani effect and two-way. I think that kind of predetermined it, just what he was able to do as a receiver and what he was able to do as a corner. It's wild and weird to me. I won't be shocked either way. I wouldn't be shocked if it's Gentey, and I wouldn't be obviously shocked if it was Hunter. Cam Ward and Dylan Gabriel, no need to go. That's your third and fourth place either way. It would be that would surprise me if either one of those guys were to win it.
What though? Because
well,
it's almost turned into all the awards kind of go to quarterbacks.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that it would be. I was kind of hoping it would be one of those where, yeah, I get it, you're the quarterback, but at the same time, these two guys have also been kind of the must see. Kind of you want to see what they're doing. I caught myself looking at the box scores all the time for Boise State, and literally the only thing I was looking for was their rushing stats. I wasn't looking for anything else. I didn't care what their quarterback did. I didn't care what their receiver did. I just wanted to see how close is Gentey to the 200 mark. Oh, he's already there. Figured. And then obviously with Travis Hunter and just seeing his stats of, hey, he had like 8 catches for 100 yards and he had an interception. So a lot of firsts with that. So again, both deserving. Both are going to do really well as far as draft position go. I still think the ceiling's a little higher for Travis Hunter, depending on where Gentey goes.
Way
It'll be interesting to see, and we'll dive into what Travis Hunter will be as we get closer to the draft and after the off season and whatnot. So next week we're on here. Who are we saying won the Heisman?
It's hard because I just want to say who I want it to be, but I'm with you. I do think it is Travis Hunter. I think that's just kind of where, those guys, it's not necessarily stats anymore. It's who are the guys doing something we haven't seen before. And unfortunately, we've seen what Ashton Gentey's done before. We've seen it done multiple times. Let's just call it what it is. We've seen a lot of 2,500 yard rushers. We've never seen a guy play receiver and corner this many snaps at this high of a level. So even if the stats alone favor Gentey, I think next week we're saying Travis Hunter won the Heisman.
Yeah, I do agree, but I think it's going to be a lot closer in the voting than what some may lead you to believe. Because there are going to be people out there that vote that still understand, hey, Derrick Henry won a Heisman, right? So it's like this dude had a ton of touchdowns too. So it's weird, it's awkward, but at the same time, I mean, it is what it is at this point. I agree. Travis Hunter and then Ashton Gentey. I don't see Cam Ward finishing top 3, but again,
no, Gabriel.
Yeah, Gabriel will be third.
But it could be those votes that end up swaying it though. Like if it's going to be close, there's probably going to be a handful of people that put like Dylan Gabriel second or first.
Yep.
So who do they put second and third behind that to get those total points? I mean, it is there's people out there who's going to value the quarterback over anyone no matter what. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be a handful that do that. So the deciding factor could be those people and how they rank Gentey and Hunter behind said quarterback. So it wouldn't surprise me if this is a record-breaking Heisman where it's the closest 1-2 finish that the Heisman's ever seen, which would be kind of cool. Yeah. It shows the competitive balance across schools. So, but I do think we'll be getting on talking and kind of highlighting Travis Hunter and his accomplishments that got him the Heisman.
All right, so let's go to the second biggest college football thing, and that's the playoff. We watched the bracket reveal because that was right before the KU beatdown. So we were able to kind of see, and we kind of had an idea. I think it was kind of towards that back end of the 11th, 10th, 11th, 12th that we were kind of like we were going back and forth during the actual show, not the ESPN bracket reveal show. Kind of talking it out in our heads of why Alabama, why SMU, why Alabama, why SMU. We said if they wanted to get it right, it would be SMU. And then, of course, they get to that pick, and it was SMU. So then we kind of looked at the bracket, and we both were in agreement then that they got it right. Whether you believe it or not, no matter what you think, strength of schedule, who you played, who you did what, they got it right. They needed to get this right. Now I'm going to be hooked on the college football playoff because they did get it right. So kind of give us your thoughts, and I guess I can read the first round matchups for you. So you have Clemson, Texas. Okay, Clemson won the ACC. All right, cool. Tennessee, Ohio State, SMU, Penn State, Indiana, Notre Dame. Those are pretty good matchups. I think you kind of know how they're going to go in your head. So before we get into maybe an upset pick, what do you think of how the committee handled it and in your mind getting it right?
Yeah, and I do think they got it right. But you do, and I agree with the people that Alabama's a better football team than SMU. I'm not going to argue with you on that. I think you just run into a huge issue if you punished a team for making the conference championship and gave it to a team who stayed home and watched conference championship week. You would run into a massive issue in the future if you punish a team for playing that conference championship. So as much as I do think Alabama's the better team, I think for just maintaining integrity and like this thing going forward, and they'll make adjustments to, better filter the teams. But for the setup now, I think they avoided a huge disaster, not penalizing a team for playing in their conference championship game. So I agree. They got it right. Your argument of Alabama being a better team is also correct. But if Alabama didn't want it to come down to the committee, don't lose to Vanderbilt, don't lose to Oklahoma. And it wouldn't have been a debate.
Yeah, because even if you only lose maybe one of those, so you lose at Oklahoma or you lose to Vandy, but you beat one or the other. I mean, you're sitting at 2 losses now. No one's going to argue that.
Yeah, and you would have maybe have had a little better of an argument of getting that spot over someone who played in the conference championship. I think ESPN, it was a good show, but I think they didn't highlight at all the key losses. They do that for March Madness. They don't just show key wins, they show your bad losses. And ultimately, I think that's what kept Alabama out. They didn't highlight the bad lot, like the strength of schedule, your key wins, all that's fine. But I do think your bad losses came into play as well. So in the end, they got it right. The teams that were left out, you controlled your own destiny and you had some bad losses, which I don't think were talked about enough. But I don't think anyone's sitting back feeling sorry for Alabama. Again, they are a better team than SMU, but with how the end of the year played out, the committee got it right. So I do think with some of these teams, SMU included, we have invited the opportunity to see some absolute slaughters.
Yes.
In the college football playoff, which, again, that's a really good argument on why to pick different teams and what they did. But that's not a reason to pick your initial teams. If a team gets their ass beat, they get their ass beat. They got the selections correct, no matter how bad some of these games are going to get lopsided. So good for the committee. I do hope they learn from this, adjust from it a little bit, make some altercations, because we don't want some of those ideas you hear out there of teams quit scheduling non-conference games and doing all of this and all of that. Like we don't want to get to that point. You know, it was pretty fun tuning in and watching some of these cross-conference big-time matchups throughout the year. So we want to avoid that. So I do hope they adjust to make sure that ultimately us fans, who should be the most important, still get entertained each year. So I am curious to see what changes can be on the table, because there's going to have to be some. But even with that said, every year you're going to have 1 to 3 fan bases upset, saying shit was whack. Last year Florida State, this year Bama. It's going to happen, but they can fine-tune it enough to where it can be damn near just I don't want to say a selection that nobody's going to complain, because that's just who we are as people. But they can fine-tune it some to get it as close to perfect as they can. So that's what I'm excited for, just to see where this goes next year and the next few years.
Yeah, no, I think that's spot on. Let's look at the potential upsets. I was leaning Indiana at first, but I think Notre Dame's going to get them. If it was a home game for Indiana, I'd maybe lean that way, but it kind of is. I get it.
They're like 30 miles
but
away.
I still think so. I'm going to go with Clemson over Texas.
Okay.
I am. Quinn Ewers hasn't looked right. I don't know if it was the first Georgia game or what happened in between, but the dude he's not looking like himself. Their offense has been kind of struggling a little bit at times. And again, maybe it could be against the defenses that they're playing. I don't know. But Dabo's got his guys playing pretty decent. I know they blew that lead against SMU, but at the same time, Dabo's still a good coach. Whether you believe what he's preaching and what he's doing, I don't care. What I do know is he's won games. He knows how to get his team ready, and I give me the upset. Give me that upset.
And let's be honest, both teams are amped up to know who their next round opponent is. Throw some respect on Arizona State, but you have to sit back and think that Clemson and Texas going into that game are going to be favored.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It goes back to what I say, like Big 12's not as good as we thought. Like, not taking anything away from Arizona State. Like, they did what they had to do and they're here. But at the same time, Clemson and Texas, they're going to be amped up knowing that they're going to play Arizona State instead of like an Oregon or a Georgia. Like, that's going to add a little extra motivation knowing that, like, hey, it's not guaranteed, but we have one of the better second-round matchups to get to that Final Four than some of these other ones. So I actually think that game's going to be the best game of the first round, just given that those two teams are similar up and down offensively, but their defenses fly around. I give the slight edge to Texas because I trust Quinn Ewers a little bit more than Cade Klubnik. But I do think it's close enough to where I'm not surprised that that's your upset pick. Two very similar teams at this point, if you ask me. So, I don't know if it's an upset. I don't know what the number is going to be, but I think Tennessee is going to absolutely destroy Ohio State.
It's not a chance.
I've seen Ohio State in big games. I've seen Will Howard in big games. I don't know if they're over that Michigan loss because they didn't just lose. Like, that was embarrassing for them.
Tennessee ain't got no offense.
They got a defensive line, and that's going to wreck shop on that makeshift offensive line. I don't trust Ryan Day enough to bounce back from what just happened to them. Ohio State is still one of the most talented teams, but I think they're broken. And that front from Tennessee is no joke. That front from Tennessee is why they're in the playoff. So I will say, if Ohio State figures out a scheme or anything to kind of neutralize them a little bit, I do think it's a runaway game. The thing is, I don't think they're going to be able to do that. And that defensive line is literally going to win the game for Tennessee. So that goes to, I just don't trust Ryan Day or Will Howard in a big-time game. I could be, that Michigan game could be just looming for me to where it's like, they were bad. Like, I don't know how else to put, like, they were bad. And they're a broken team. Like, you just saw all of them after the game. I mean, getting in fights. Ryan Day looked like he just lost his entire family just standing on the field. Like, what just happened? Like, so I don't know. I don't know. I think Tennessee, they know that they're going to come start fast. I guess the one good thing is, it's a home game for Ohio State. Luckily, it's not like a cross-country travel for Tennessee, just up a few hours. But I really do think Tennessee's defensive line is about to just – if you don't know how good Tennessee's defensive line is before that game, I think you're going to realize after the game that, like, it's probably the best defensive line in football.
Yeah, I just don't think Ohio State has Tennessee doesn't have the offense to match that. And I still like Ohio State's defense as well. Tennessee does have a great defense too. I just think Ohio State's offense is a little better than Tennessee's is right now. I think either way, either one loses to Oregon.
Didn't they put up like 3 points against Michigan?
Well,
come on.
Just still, man, I get it.
They lost because Michigan's defense scored and Ohio State's offense didn't score. There's no reason Tennessee can't replicate that. We'll use an Antonio Pierce quote. Michigan put out the blueprint.
I mean, maybe. Either way, like I said, neither of those teams are beating Oregon either way. Let's go to this.
I'm actually kind of surprised neither of us have like SMU over Penn State. Like, I feel like that's a either or.
No,
right?
that's a Texas team going all the way up north. I'm not sure. I guess they could travel across to the ACC. Cool, but no, I like Penn State's defense as well. Not that SMU couldn't do it. I just don't think they will. I like Penn State's offense as well, especially if their quarterback's on and they get that running game going, and then they're able to mix in their tight ends and their play action game that Andy likes to do. Their offense is good.
Did SMU have to play Miami this year?
I don't know.
Because I'm trying to think, outside of Clemson, really the only offense they would see in the ACC would be Miami.
Well, I think that was everyone's argument of why SMU shouldn't have, because, I mean, they didn't play anybody. But a lot of people were just like, who gives a fuck? So I'm going to pull up their schedule real quick.
Because I don't know anything about SMU. When you hear about SMU, it's their quarterback, Jennings, and like their explosive plays that they can make. So I agree with you. I don't know if they have the defense to stop what Penn State's bringing, and we know firsthand the kind of shit Kotelnicki can draw up. If things do stall out or they kind of stall, he has those for sure plays, those trick plays, those high success trick plays where it looks like a trick play, but it's really just like a tight end crosser that goes for 40. So yeah, I don't know if SMU has seen anything like this in the ACC.
Yeah, outside of Clemson, they lost to Clemson in the championship game, obviously, and then their only other loss was a 3-point loss to BYU. Wow. Yeah, they didn't play the top tier ACC teams, obviously, but it's the tight end, 88 catches, 1,062 yards, and 6 touchdowns for Penn State. That's what he is kind of a big part of their offense and what they try to do. So again,
and Kotelnicki loves his tight ends. He used Fairchild a lot, and Fairchild wasn't this tight end as far as abilities go.
No.
That's a matchup nightmare.
It is.
I don't know if SMU has it.
So, I mean, I guess of the 4 teams who have a bye, I mean, Boise State, maybe with Penn State and SMU. I'm going to go
Gentey and Penn State defense. It would be a good matchup.
Yeah, it really would. I mean, I hate doing it. I don't see. It's hard to just not say 1 and 2, Georgia, Oregon, because Georgia's not going to lose to Indiana or Notre Dame.
I think there's a small. Again, I think Notre Dame's always overrated, but that dude does have the team playing defense. I think if that defense shows up and keeps it close, there's always that chance.
I guess there's always the question of if Carson Beck's going to play or not. But,
Georgia would absolutely demolish Indiana. No disrespect to Indiana and their coach. I love his quotes. I love how cocky he is. But sometimes when you go against talent, it just obliterates you. Look at the Ohio State game for Indiana. Like, they just talent wins a lot.
Yeah, I mean, they were a couple obviously self-inflicted wounds away from keeping it close, but you can't do that in big time moments. This is an even bigger moment.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't think there's I think Arizona State's run comes to an end just because.
So what's your final four?
My final four, I would still say I'm going to go Clemson, Oregon, and then I'm going to go Boise State, Georgia. I don't know.
So
I don't know
the
why.
only one that's not
I
chalk
just like
is
this.
Clemson.
I just like this Clemson group. I mean, maybe I'm completely wrong. I know they're streaky. I know their skill position is not what it usually is as far as what they do, but that was a good.
But we talk about March Madness. Bracket placement matters.
It does,
and that
absolutely,
5-12 the money spot, right?
absolutely, and that's why. I mean, I'm praying for another Ohio State Oregon game just because I think that's going to be one of the better ones. I would love to sit here and say Arizona State can get a win, but they're not playing against the Big 12 opponents now. Like this is real time. You're getting a bye, so you're not going to be able to play at home. You kind of got the shaft because they gave Boise State the Fiesta Bowl, and you have to go to the Peach Bowl. So like you have to travel for that. And look who you're playing against if you do get to the Peach Bowl, or well, you are in the Peach Bowl, but Texas or Clemson, that's way close. That's more of a home game for those two. So you kind of got the shaft in that aspect of it. Yeah, man, Arizona State's a great story. Love it. They're representing the Big 12, but I don't see it happening. I really don't. So, yeah, Final Four: Clemson, Oregon, Boise State, and Georgia. I want to see Gentey against Georgia's defense.
Yeah,
make it happen. Make it.
I kind of agree. I don't know who wins the 5-12 matchup, but I am picking whoever wins that game as my Final Four. I agree with you. Both those defenses are light years better than anything Arizona State's seen this year. I hope it's Arizona State. It'd be cool to be wrong, but I agree there. I agree that Oregon will take care of either one of those teams. My upset pick, obviously, I think Tennessee, but I think Oregon is by far the best and most complete and consistent team. I think this is where we're going to differ. I actually think Penn State will be in the Final Four. I don't know, man. A team like Penn State selling out to stop Ashton Gentey is a lot different than UNLV selling out trying to stop him. Penn State actually could have the capability of actually doing it and making someone else beat them, and I'm not confident with that. So I would actually have Penn State coming out of that little part of the bracket. I love Ashton Gentey, and I would love to see that matchup, but I don't think they have enough around him. Other people are going to have to make plays. Other people are going to have to do something, and I don't know if they do. I don't think they've had to rely on others all year, so they could have them. They just haven't needed them. So I'm going Penn State out of that, and then I agree with Georgia. Even if a less than stellar offense with or without Carson Beck, that defense can easily just win the game for them against Indiana or Notre Dame.
Sorry,
like I said earlier, talent wins. So Georgia, at least here,
I'm making a note of this. That way, we can come back and look at this. So if I have it correct, you have Texas or Clemson against Oregon. That means you don't have Arizona State either way. And then you have Penn State, Georgia.
Correct. Yep.
All right. And I'm going Clemson, Oregon, and Boise State, Georgia. Look, either way, I think these are going to be okay, so let's go back like 10 minutes ago when you said someone's going to get their ass just completely. That's just kind of how this works. For the love of God, I don't want it to be the national championship game like we've seen.
I think if it's how you fall, it's going to be Georgia against Boise State that gets the embarrassment. I'm sorry, I love Gentey, but that Georgia defense is still Georgia defense.
Yeah, no, I do lean towards agreeing with you on that, because I still think Oregon, Georgia, in the championship. I think Oregon can beat Georgia just because of their speed. Oregon has really good speed. Dan Lanning, obviously, that they have the playmakers there. Their defense, okay. I mean, but I trust Oregon's offense to put up points more than I would trust Georgia's offense to put up points. But yeah, I think if there were going to be a beatdown, it would be the Georgia Boise State game. I don't think there's going to be any in this first round. I think this first round is going to be pretty fucking solid.
Tennessee by at least 3 touchdowns. I don't know if we're counting that as beaten, but
that's not going to happen. Not even close. Not even close.
It could.
Well, I mean,
look, bro, if we were in a state where we could bet, I'd be throwing all my money on it. All $10 I have, I'd be throwing it on it.
3 touchdown win on the road.
Yeah.
You're high. Don't listen to this guy. Don't.
What's made you believe in Ohio State?
What makes you think Tennessee can put up more than 3 touchdowns on the road?
They've done it all SEC.
No.
Against better competition.
No, Tennessee's not that good. Tennessee is probably one of the worst teams in the playoff.
They're 10-2.
Yeah, no, I mean I get it, but at the same time their offense just isn't there. I guess you can say defense wins championships, but that makes it hard to go on the road and win by 3 touchdowns.
Look, they put up 71 on Kent State. I don't know what you're talking about with their offense.
Hey, Alabama, you want to get into the playoff, quit playing Mercer. That's how you do it. Quit playing your cupcake leagues.
Tennessee beat Alabama. Tennessee beat NC State, a top 25 team, 51-10 on the road.
That was early in the season.
Yeah?
Yeah, their offense has been sputtering kind of since.
Let's not talk about their defense then. What we're going to sit here and say Ohio State hasn't been sputtering? They put up 10 points at home against Michigan.
I still trust Ohio State more.
Nah. They put up 20 against Penn State. They put up 21 against Nebraska. I don't know why you believe Ohio State's offense more. They're like similar.
Which is why I still don't think it would be a 3 touchdown. I think it's...
Okay, maybe I was a little exaggerating with that. Maybe it's only a 20-point game.
No. Give me Ohio State by 6.
They don't... Oh, they do have a money line out. Well, the money line agrees with you. It's 7.5 Ohio State, so... Yeah. I'm not saying go put your house up on that bet, but, like, go put a nice little, like, $10, $20 bet on Tennessee. Like, Ohio State's just one of those overhyped teams.
Well, yeah, but that's why I just have them winning a first-round game. I don't have them going anywhere past that.
They're broken.
Yeah, maybe they are. But I would sit here and confidently say they're not going to lose by more than 6 points if they were to lose. Yeah, no, I can confidently say that. Who do you have in your championship game, and who do you have winning?
So what did I have? One of the 5-12s against Oregon. Yeah, Oregon's getting in there. And Georgia. I don't know. I think that I had Georgia against Penn State. At that point, I think they would need a healthy, cruising Carson Beck. I'd hate to pick an all Big Ten championship, but if his elbow is as bad as they say, I actually don't think they get through Penn State. That would be one of those like slobber knocker, like 12-7 games for Penn State. I'm still going to say Georgia because I think by, a month and a half out, whenever that game finally comes, I think Carson Beck will be fine enough. So I'm going to go with you, as boring as it is, Oregon, Georgia, with kind of like a asterisk to if it's Penn State, Georgia without Carson Beck, then it's Penn State. But I think you're looking for the boring 1 versus 2, which I think ultimately is what we all kind of hope for anyway. The 2 best teams kind of duking it out at the end. So as boring as that is, I guess that's really what it should be, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what you're shooting for. But again, it wouldn't surprise me if there is, if a Clemson or a Texas maybe squeezes one out.
Specifically those 2.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I can't say Arizona State. I mean, maybe like a 2% chance if that, but I think that's too high.
There's always a chance, but
Shit, that's who I'd go throw $5 down on Arizona State to win the national championship. I mean, you never know, but
nah.
yeah,
Tennessee.
yeah. I mean, not Arizona State. So again, both got Oregon, Georgia. Oregon winning. I don't think it'll be a high scoring game. Maybe like a 24-21. I don't know.
Oh, you think
I
Oregon
do think
wins?
Oregon wins.
Nah, I'm gonna go with the statement I've said so far this whole episode. Like, talent wins, and I still think Georgia just has way too much damn talent. If Bo Nix was still at Oregon, I might pick Oregon.
Goddamn right.
Yeah. Broncos shout out. I don't know. I think I'm falling into the SEC trap, and Georgia actually plays like the SEC competition. Yeah, it would be hard for me to not pick Georgia, and no matter who they were playing any given week. But I agree with you. I don't think it's one of those blowouts or high scoring affairs. Like that 24-14 range, 24-17 type deals. Yeah, I think Georgia wins it all. I don't know that I'm a defensive guy. That's why I picked Georgia. You've always been an offensive guy. That's why you're picking Oregon. Like, all this shit it's making sense if you just listen to it.
It's up. All right, let's.
Yeah, you hear the Tennessee, Ohio State defense versus offense, Georgia, Oregon. Like, yeah, no, I think it'll be competitive, and that's all we can ask for. That's really what that is about.
Yeah, so tune in, watch some college football over the break. Good, some good football games on, and then I think they begin the 21st or something like that. I think 21st, and they have some weird. One team plays on the 31st, and it's all weird. But either way, we're still gonna have football, and it's not gonna interfere with Christmas Day as far as like with Chiefs and Steelers game. But I guess even then, we still have other shit we need to watch that day. So like, do something. So that'll wrap up the college football talk for the playoff and the Heisman. Let's take like 5 minutes here. Shit that caught us off guard. One of the greatest coaches of all time in the NFL. We heard the news, like over the weekend or something like that, and we were like
a week ago.
Yeah, and we were like, "There's absolutely not a chance. Like he's fucking with us. He's playing him. Good for UNC to try. Cause what are you gonna do? Shoot your shot, man. You never know. Well, as of probably 3 hours, about 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
72-year-old Bill Belichick is now the head coach of the University of North Carolina for 3 years, $30 million. What? Dude, I fucking love this move. I love it. This is awesome. This is good for college football. Let me break it down. Let me break it down for you real quick. Listen. You have a son.
I don't.
You don't, but if you had a son and you're kind of narrowing schools down and you want him to go to the NFL, who better to learn from than a guy who's won 6 Super Bowls?
Bro, that's not the mindset of these athletes now. These athletes are so soft. I'm curious on if he's actually going to get people there.
His name alone will get people there.
You're going to have to toughen up. You'll see. Okay, you might get that initial wave of talent, but the amount of transfers after a year.
It could be. And I think completely it's a little different, but it's kind of the same. Deion Sanders doesn't recruit kids. He doesn't go on visits. They come to him. But
he's a completely different coach.
In a way, but you're still like this. The name is the Flash. It's still Bill Belichick. It's still, hey, rings. Hey, I coach Tom Brady. Hey, the Patriot way. Hey, now it's the Tar Heel way. I listened to his, and I don't know if you actually had a chance to listen to him on Pat McAfee yesterday, and kind of how he mapped out kind of his plans at UNC and how it was going to be a pipeline to the NFL. It was going to be structured just like an NFL team, just not at the NFL level. As far as like, hey, you're learning techniques. Hey, your nutrition's going to be NFL level. the coaching, just everything that NFL talent will be ready for the NFL. And then those guys that, they want to get into, life after college, this is going to get them ready for it. I'm intrigued. I think it's actually going to, I don't think you'll see it like immediately. I don't think you'll see it year one, but I think next year and maybe the year after before he kind of steps aside, because obviously his son's now the coach in waiting there. And I think that's honestly the only reason I think he did this. North Carolina, outside of this year, has had a pretty good football program the last few years under Mac Brown. But I do think it is a slight upgrade here as far as coaching goes.
I don't know. I mean, I'm with you. I'm definitely intrigued. I am definitely going to catch myself peeping North Carolina football a little bit more.
That's all it's about. That's all it's about. Same thing with Colorado hiring Deion Sanders.
Yeah, no, except I thought that was a clown show. I'm intrigued and I'll pay attention, and I agree with everything you're saying, but I think a better comparison for Belichick is Saban. And the current state of athletes and the process and everything with college football literally bounced Nick Saban out. Like, Nick Saban just couldn't do it. Because let's be honest, Nick Saban's still a better coach and could do it better than anyone who's in college football right now. But just the current state of the athletes and the NIL and all the other shit that's just been thrown on it, he had a nut. Like, he just didn't want to do it anymore. And I think that's more of a comparison for Bill. But I agree, it's not a long-term thing. This is strictly to get his son a job. Yeah, it's hard to say he won't be successful, but I don't know. Like, Nick Saban couldn't handle it anymore. Belichick, I mean, they're basically twins when you just look at coaching.
Part of the deal was their NIL now goes from $5 million to $20 million a year.
And hell, this might be good for Belichick. He kind of was he was the GM at the Patriots, so he might have a little better handle on handling a quote-unquote salary cap. Let's be honest, that's what NIL is for these schools. It's a salary cap. I think you're not wrong. Him alone, North Carolina is going to be better just strictly from having him. How good can they get? I don't know. I do think this is more of a 2-year gig. Because I'm still on the. He wants to get to the NFL and break the all-time wins record. I still think that's his end goal. But I think while he's waiting for a better, perfect job in the NFL, why not hook your son up with a career path per se? But I'm intrigued. I guess that's why you make a move like this, right? People are going to pay a little more attention to you. The name alone is going to draw some interest. I don't know. I don't know. It's weird as hell. I have to be honest with you. I that's why I'm struggling to find words. It's just weird.
I think the days of Bill being in the NFL are done, just in the sense of I don't think he takes this job if he thinks there's an opening that's going to. I think he has his NFL contacts. He knows some people. I just don't think the NFL wanted him right now. I don't. So therefore, I think he's coached his last game in the NFL. I don't think he's going back. I think this is his last job, and I think he does end up maybe being a consultant for his son afterwards. And then maybe he does end up consulting an NFL team. But as far as coaching in the NFL, I don't think he's going to go back. And it's not because he doesn't want to. I just think it's just because I don't think a team wants him.
No, and I agree with that. We're in that era or generation or whatever you want to call it of when you're going to get a coach now, you're going to get that young offensive-minded guy or a very young established defensive mind. So I agree. I think really when you're thinking of the older coaches, I mean, we lost Belichick out of the NFL. Pete was gone. Andy might be the last quote-unquote old guy.
Andy and Mike Tomlin.
Mike looks 30 though, so I always forget about that guy. Yeah, I forget about that guy. Dude looks 30, but I agree. I think he has, but I still think if a team comes to call in from the NFL, it may not be what Bill wants. It could be an embarrassing franchise
Raiders.
like the Raiders.
Oh,
Yeah.
jinx.
Well, how did we both think of them when talking about embarrassing franchises? I think he realizes he's not going to get the calls to go to the higher profile teams. I think if he were to coach in the NFL, he's going to be used more of like a transitional coach.
Mhm.
And a team might give that to him just to have the all-time wins record, right? Like we'll stick with the Raiders. Raiders are dog shit. They have nothing to hang their hat on. Well, at least they can be the team Bill Belichick broke the record with, right? Like nice little milestone in their cap that means absolutely nothing but something for them to
It'll
brag
still take
about.
3 or 4
I do
years to
agree.
get those 14 wins.
Oh, dude, it'd take 14 years minimum with the Raiders to get that. But I agree with you. I do think he's done, barring a team just saying fuck it. That's just not where the NFL's going now. So good for him for taking this job. I agree. If he doesn't go to the NFL, he will stay on his son's staff. That job, yeah, it was for his son, but I still think in general, he took that job just to make North Carolina the next Belichick Central kind of deal. But I am intrigued. And if it does turn out to be a long-term deal, then I do think North Carolina can find success. Because I didn't think you said it and it didn't cross my mind, but what kids will listen to and go through is flashing rings. I know Tom Brady. We're getting to that era where these kids, that's what they watched. A lot of kids might have hated him, but a lot of these kids were probably like, "Hey, I want that."
Yeah, I want people to hate me.
Yeah, exactly. And the Chiefs are kind of in that era right now too, where everyone hates him. I know nobody wants to be him. Secretly, everyone wants to be him. You shake your head, not necessarily, but you would love to go to back championship
True,
games.
never won back-to-back Super Bowls in my lifetime, so I was able to see that. I just wasn't able to see back-to-back-to-back.
See, so no, I agree. I bare minimum, kind of like Colorado with Dion, they took a chance because they know at the very least people would pay attention. And at the very least, whether North Carolina turns good or not, people are going to pay attention.
It's all it's about.
So
you already have deep pocket alumni, Jordan, obviously being probably one of the marquee ones. Your basketball school, but your football program has been pretty decent. Now you're bringing in Belichick. I want to see what his staff looks like first, outside of his son.
Josh McDaniels, we already know
is
this.
Is he gonna do what Nick Saban did and kind of bring in these retread guys to kind of get their career back on track, and kind of be like a rescue home for some coaches of, hey, let me teach you, come run this, learn the ways, set you free. We just keep going in a cycle. Keep going in a cycle. It's nothing changes. So I do want to see that part. Just because I do think he's going to have, I think he's going to do more of like a CEO type, like letting his coaches do a little bit more. He's just going to kind of like guide them along the way, making sure everyone kind of understands the standard, and then just, hey, Steven, it's your show, essentially. What do you need from me? I'll do it. I'm the head coach still technically, but we're getting the players here, use them, do what we need to do. So I want to see the staff. So it's a long season.
Can we talk about the like small world real quick? Like he lost his job. New England drafted North Carolina's quarterback, and then Bill's like, you know what? I want to go there now. Like it's kind of weird. He lost his job. North Carolina quarterback came in, and now he's going to North Carolina. Like means absolutely nothing, but it's just like kind of the world we live in.
The best part of it was I saw that he has no. We know he can recruit because he's got a 24-year-old girlfriend. So, that was probably one of the better ones I've. That's what I'm saying, bro. Like that was one of the best memes I was able to see. It was like, hey, don't question Belichick if he can recruit. He landed this, so it's like, well played.
Yeah, he had to do a lot of recruiting, I'm sure, and that's how it's going to be actually on the recruiting trail, right?
Yep.
Like, just show up, show your rings, know who I am, and you're going to land a 24-year-old girlfriend, aka 5-star recruits. So, yeah, no, it's I can't wait from a year to now till we get on and be like, so about North Carolina's #1 recruiting class.
Well, I mean, it could very well be heading that way. Let's take a couple minutes here. Denver had a bye week last week. Big game. This is honestly a must-win game for Denver against the Colts. Your playoffs technically kind of start now. Win this game, your percentages go up pretty well. Lose this game, you're putting yourself, margin of error shrinks just a tad bit more. You're at home. You're playing against the Colts. Not a good defense. They have Anthony Richardson as a quarterback. You should win this game. Please win this game. And then get ready for a short week against the Chargers. So that's all we're going to talk about for the Broncos. Obviously, with bye week last week, there's nothing really to review. Let's jump into the Chiefs real quick because they keep doing it. The doinks, the whatever you want to call it, the official hanging on the field goal post to kind of guide the ball in. Man, I don't know how he was able to just keep his balance up there like that to get the ball to bounce in, but good for him.
Yeah, I was joking with you all game that our check to the refs must have got lost in the mail. We must have speedy delivered that just in time for that field
Just for him to.
Yeah, because all game, I mean, we had twice the penalty yards that Chargers had, so I was worried our check got lost, but luckily it was found last second for that field goal.
Yeah, so again, it's kind of a same shit, different week. You know, literally the exact almost carbon copy of the Raiders game. You know, the Chiefs couldn't do anything right. Couldn't do anything right until the end of the game. And it kind of happened again. I mean, the Chiefs, let's get it. They're still not playing their best football. We get it. Okay. But can you really gripe if they're 12-1? Like, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that was my favorite take on, like, say what you want about how good or bad they are, but at the end of the day, good teams find ways to win at the end of the game. So no matter how good or bad you think this team is, the fact that they find ways to win at the end of the game time after time at least puts them in the category of at least being a good team.
Yep.
Because you have a lot of bad teams who are competitive, but they don't find those ways to win. And that's the difference from just being like an average to bad team and a good team. Like, good championship teams find ways to win, and we're finding every damn way possible, but we're finding them.
Yep.
It may not be beautiful. It may be ugly as hell. I may have very little interest with watching games because it's just pissing me off. But at the end of the day, they're finding ways to win. Is it sustainable through the playoffs? Time will tell, but for now, I'm going to enjoy them finding ways to win.
Yeah, you'll worry about the playoffs when it gets here. I keep going back to what Sean Payton said about the Chiefs. Obviously, he's like, yeah, we absolutely did outplay them for the whole game. They're a championship team. They found a way to win. That is what championship teams do. And until we as Broncos can do what they're doing, you know, we obviously aren't, you know, to that level. So again, the Raiders, the Chiefs made a championship play. Say what you want. They still made the championship play. They still had to drive the length of the field the other night against the Chargers to put themselves in that position. They were still able to do it. I think, and I'm saying this as a Broncos fan, and I hate it just as much as everybody else. If you don't like it, then stop them. Quit playing soft coverage defense. Quit playing the matchup so bad, and quit,
or go make the play. Do what Josh Allen did.
Yeah, go make the plays.
Make the play.
Quit putting so much pressure on the single coverage and play your defense. Literally, it's just right there. You literally just have to make one stop. It's right there in front of you. Make the stop, make the play. Quit giving them the coverage. Quit having terrible penalties. Quit letting them bait you into those. That's what championship teams do. They find a way to continuously do it, and it is frustrating. It really is. But at the same time, it's like, make the play. You're literally one or two plays away in one drive of doing it. Don't hate them because they're the ones doing it. It's literally the same shit that the Patriots did so many years. Yeah, you thought you had it. No, they went and they did what they needed to do because it's a championship culture, championship team. I don't know. I know you said something about, this game worrying you that they're about to play against the Browns just because Jameis Winston's a gunslinger and can throw for 60 passes. But I still think Chiefs win this game. And I think you're still probably thinking the same. Because their defense is still pretty bad.
But they're also still kind of good. I don't know, man. This is like that KU Creighton game where I'm like, KU is the better team, and even after the loss, KU's still a better team. The matchup's just bad. A team who can shoot lights out against a team who still hasn't found their groove. It's kind of what the Browns are. I don't think we can actually beat the Browns just scoring 19 to 20 points again. We're going to have to do a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, Chiefs should still win. I do want to point out, you jogged my memory when you said something Sean Payton said, and I thought you were going to say it. But I want to talk about something else Sean Payton said that I've joked with you for months now. He said he was pissed off that he hadn't been playing Marvin Mims as their running back now. I've been telling you for months now that Marvin Mims was your running back, and Sean Payton said he was mad at himself for not doing this sooner. So I just want to let you know that Marvin Mims, per Sean Payton now, is a fucking running back.
No, he's still saying in his press conferences that he's not a running back. He's not willing to do that. But as far as like his utilization and how he's using him, he is upset that he didn't start it sooner. It is what it is. I'm so happy with the direction this team's going. It sucks. I even told you the other day, I was like, this is fucking, I hated having a bye week. It was weird not watching the Broncos game. As much as, I really, 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 really wanted to watch them, I understand that they needed this bye to happen. But it makes it that much more important to go ahead and take care of the Colts this week so we can hopefully continue to talk about the Chiefs and Broncos making a playoff push.
And not the Raiders. Woo!
Not the Raiders. So I did want to talk, and we'll push this to next week. I did want to talk about some of the hot seats for the coaching. So next week's episode, we're going to talk about the openings that are now open, and then we're going to talk about some of the jobs that we think will come open, and we're going to start kind of putting a puzzle together of our own, of who we think is going to end up where in the NFL. There's going to be a shit ton of jobs coming open, but there's also some of those that you're like, it's borderline on, are they going to be cleaning house or are they going to get one more chance? So that's going to be a fun episode next week. I'm really excited. I'm kind of wanted to do it tonight, but hey, this was a good episode. We were able to talk some college football, talk some weird college football. Didn't think we were talking about Bill Belichick going to college. Dude, I'm still not. That's weird. It's so weird to me, but this is fucking awesome. Good for North Carolina. KU still beat you in basketball. They still own you in basketball, but that's fine. So find us on Instagram, Shovick Sports. Find us on Apple, Spotify, iHeart. Thank you again. We're up to almost 350 followers on Instagram, so those keep climbing. We are truly, truly appreciative of all of you. Thanks to our new listeners, and thanks to you who have started kind of interacting with us on Instagram. So we look forward to continuing to do this, and we'll talk to you guys next week.